Hey Lakers, welcome back to another Scoir Secrets episode. In this episode, we are going to dive into discovering colleges. If you haven't watched the first episode, which highlights how to access Scoir, how to log in, and just a brief overview of what the different parts of this page look like and are, please hop back to the first episode of Scoir Secrets and watch that first. Once you're in, you'll see the homepage, and there's two areas that you can work on finding colleges that might match your ones. The first one is if you know of a school that you want to directly go to research, you can actually access that from this search menu up here. If you come up here and type in the name of a school, we'll just say Harvard, it will match you with any schools that match HARV. So we can click on Harvard and go directly to this page. There will be a future Scoir Secrets episode that has an overview of what is on this page for each university, but we're not going to be covering that today. So if we go back home, and once just a reminder, home is the Scoir icon or this home button at the top. The other place that we're going to dive into is the Discover button at the top of your page. The navigation on Scoir is mainly across the very top and then this next kind of layer or sub-menu down here. For today's video, we are going to be living under the Colleges button. So we're going to click over there, and what this does is this will actually pull up about 4 or 5 different options that are common filters that students tend to use initially. But then if we click on this All Filters button, it's going to let us look at a number of different things. I'm going to go ahead and clear this all. So if I clear all, I'm ready to start a new search, or I want to change quite a few things, I might just hit clear. It'll basically start us from scratch. As you can see, that scratch has 3,500 schools in their database, and that includes four-year college, junior college, and career or trade schools. So at the top, we have several different things to start looking at. One is academic focus or major. All right, so if we are very specific, we can type in engineering, for example. We can have an academic focus of engineering. That's going to be very broad. It's going to consider all types of disciplines of engineering. Or if you're very specific already, maybe you're a senior and you're looking at this and you kind of know what major you're kind of targeting, say it's biomedical engineering, you can go down and really drill into the specific area. I do want to put a caution out there when we're doing these filters that more is not always better. So sometimes it's nice to be broad, and we don't necessarily want a filter in each one of these sections. I would say start with 2 to 5 different things that are key pieces for you as a person or a student. So I'm going to say broadly engineering. And then as we select items, you'll notice this page actually updates in the background. It's what's called a fuzzy search. So as we put things in, it's going to actually kind of keep it up to date. And you see we went from 3,500 schools to about 1,900 schools. If I only want to look at and consider four-year college programs, I would filter that as well. And then what's next is scrolling down, and we can go into things like school size, campus settings or environments, distance. So this is going to be like, for example, you can select distance from home. So if we said like Tahoe City, or if we said Tahoe City, California, it's going to say how far away. So is it across the country? Can we drive there? Is it like pretty close drive? So on and so forth. Specific geographical areas, and you can also select several different states. So if you said California, if you said Washington, okay, that will filter down and add different schools that have availability. Selectivity, application models, any athletic interests. So again, you don't want to go too deep into this. Starting broadly is good. And then if we hit show, it's going to give us the list of schools that match all of or many of those different things. Okay, so what we can look at is this is now a list that shows us the different options that we now have that match our engineering focus. It's four-year college. It has it's certain distances away, and we can actually start looking into some of these different schools. In a future episode, we'll actually talk about saving in your college list, which is up here underneath the My Colleges tab. But ultimately, once we get this list, we can actually dive into these different schools and see a little bit more. The other thing that's nice about this that I will show you in this video is this comparison tool. So if we click this button on some of the schools that we wanted to look at, and we say add to compare, what's going to happen is you'll notice over on the right hand side of the screen, it adds this little bucket, and we can add any school. So say we want to look at Chico, Sacramento, and Davis, kind of some of our closest schools. So they're now showing up over here, and so if we now click this drop out or this pull out item, we can reorder them if we want to, but then we hit compare. And what's nice is we can actually take a look at all these different items that are pretty important in our list and look at them across the board at these different 3 or 4 schools that we have selected. We can actually come back in here, once again, reorder. We can add an additional school, remove. But this is nice because then we can scroll down and get a nice kind of at a glance look at, okay, what's the average cost? What is the average admissions rate? How many students are there? What's the type of major or things included? What's the cost of applying? And that's a nice at-a-glance way to see what your options are as a student building that college list out. So please check back again for the next episode. We'll dive into a little bit more about the college page. So we'll dive into information about what happens and what information is available when we actually look at the school profile, essentially. So see you then. Hopefully you learned about using this college search. We might come back with a more advanced version of this later because there are some new cool things coming out with this. But this is the basics of how to start looking at comparing, finding, and understanding more about what schools have some opportunities for you.